Okay, I feel like this goes without saying, but My Hero Academia ain't a little bit of a big deal. It usually tops the charts when new episodes come out. It has a dedicated, thriving fan base with tons of merch. Seriously, My Hero Academia references pop up when you least expect them. Come on, yo. I have no public comments, but come now. So every time I sit down and watch My Hero though, I think, haven't we been here before though? Like, My Hero is cool and all. I love seeing a kid eat hair and get stronger, you know? But it gives me a weird sense of shonen deja vu. Like, the story, the character, the world, it all feels so familiar. And it's safe to say that that's because My Hero Academia doesn't do anything. Relax. I can hear y'all already in the comments. Like, relax. Oh, but Curt, you're saying you don't like My Hero Academia? No, relax. It's okay that it doesn't do anything new. That's the whole point of this whole long dissertation of a video. Let me explain. I got you. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and assume that if you click this video, you know what My Hero is, but for the three of you who got this on your watch next, let me explain, and thank you for the watch time. In the world of My Hero, about 80% of people across the world have superpowers called quirks. And people with quirks can go to hero school to become professional heroes and fight crime. I know more superheroes. Stick with me here. My Hero's manga came out in 2014 and the anime dropped in 2016, both right in the thick of the whole MCU thing and the whole DC thing too, but we don't really talk about them. Superhero stuff was at the top of the world. It kind of still is. So My Hero's timing couldn't have been more perfect. Our main character, Deku, wants nothing more than to become a pro hero, but trouble is he doesn't have a quirk. Well, lucky for him, off happenstance, Deku runs into the #1 hero in the world, All Might. And after Deku proves himself, via a little crying, begging, and cleaning, sounds like a relationship. Sounds like God, it is. He cried, he begged, he cleaned. Damn, it's like, yeah, it is like a normal wife. Hold on. After Deku proves himself, All Might gives him some of his power, allowing Deku to enroll in hero school and learn what it really means to be a hero. Because it is school. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll think the characters look very particular for their age. But most importantly, the show will remind you of a lot of other anime. Like, I feel like I don't have to mention it, but like there's a giant nine-tailed elephant in the room. Naruto. Now don't get me wrong, I don't feel like this is some big secret that I'm like shedding light on, you know what I mean? Deku's internet nickname is literally Green Naruto. Like really, if you Google Green Naruto, you'll see Deku in a lot of the top slots. Yep, boom, there he is. The first one, the first search is him and Bakugo in a Mother's Basement thumbnail. Then there's Naruto as the Green Lantern. And then there's Deku again. And Deku again. And then it's actual Green Naruto. And then Deku again. Horikoshi himself has even gone on record saying that Naruto was a huge influence for My Hero Academia. And it's up there as one of his favorite manga series. They both have drawn each other's characters, I believe, before in their manga. So My Hero doesn't just wear its Naruto influence on its sleeve, it wears it like a oversized Bape zip up shark hoodie. Yeah, y'all ever seen those hoodies? Where they're like, I don't have one because I'm not rich or don't have style, but look, watch this. I'm about to describe both of the shows with the same line, okay? Young boy is a social outcast because of their oddly specific genetic situation. Then end up finding a way to work around said status and control their newfound powers, to ultimately fulfill their goal of proving themselves to be the greatest despite their entire respective cultures working against them. And there you go, it's pretty much the same thing. You just gotta add the legal distinctions in there. Naruto goes to ninja school, Deku goes to hero school, new powers are the Nine Tails, new powers, some guy's hair. They both even end up finding out they have a dark power that they don't know how to control. So they try to repress it until they learn to control it. Nine Tails chakra, Black Whip, and probably the wide assortment of other stuff he's gonna be getting soon. Even both of their powers led to the deaths of the people before them, like their predecessors. Like Nine Tails led to the death of literally Naruto's mom and dad, and then All For One literally killed all the other users. But really, it's not just with Naruto. My Hero falls into a lot of the same trappings as it does with a lot of its other shonen buddies. I know it was a little harsh before, but one of the differences between Naruto and My Hero is the whole chosen one deal. Like from the jump, Naruto had the nine-tailed fox sealed within him, and his parents were both powerful ninjas. On the other hand, Deku was quirkless. His mom can gently levitate stuff, while his dad has the ability to go invisible. Forever, apparently. But of course, like any good shonen hero, Deku is able to fight against the odds with hard work and a can-do attitude. That's the little deja vu I mentioned earlier. Now, while this can be applied to pretty much any shonen hero, the first thing that comes to mind is Goku. Like Goku was nobody special. He was a low-class Saiyan who grew stronger through intense training and a few near-death experiences, of course. I mean, granted, at least he didn't have like someone shoot him in the gut to get stronger and then still get his ass whooped. Shout out to my boy Vegeta. And speaking of rivals, the DBZ influence doesn't stop there. You can't have a plucky underdog without the dickish rival, right? Now, I'm not saying Vegeta and Bakugo are similar. I'm saying they're kind of almost enough. Oh, but Vegeta's sense of pride and Bakugo's sense of pride are steeped in different principles. Let me talk, bro. Leave me alone. They're both arrogant hotheads, genetically predisposed for greatness, who throw hissy fits anytime someone weaker than them shows up and does pretty solid. Like, I feel like that tracks. Like, I don't think y'all can get me for that one, right? Like, come on. But really, in truth, you'll find traces of that in any rival. Like, I get Kaiba vibes. I'm getting Sasuke vibes. Bakugo just fits the shonen rival archetype to a T. And really, Deku and Bakugo are just the tip of the shonen iceberg in My Hero. I know tournaments are a staple, but I feel like My Hero's tournaments have no consequences. This has been a thing for years in anime. We all know it and love it at times. The Dark Tournament in Yu Yu Hakusho, mwah, love that. Dragon Ball has done it with every iteration of it. The World Tournament, Cell Saga, Tournament of Power. Although the difference is there are a lot more stakes in these other ones. Like on one end, the Earth will, be destroyed versus I might not get an internship, like in high school. To be fair though, the provisional license exam did have a lot more on the line. It's pretty much My Hero's version of Naruto's Chunin exams or Hunter x Hunter's Hunter exam. Failure just creates a barrier for entry in the field you're trying to get into. My point here being, My Hero has tournaments and it just adds to the shonen checklist. And while we're moving down said shonen checklist, one thing we can mark off is naming your moves and shouting them at the top of your lungs. I mean, I gotta assume that All Might has at least 50 different moves named after each of the United States. Big Bang Attack, United States of Smash, it's a thing. The overly perverted characters so we can get an outlet to be horny while demeaning it at the same time. Roshi, Mineta. Then on the list is power creeping. I mean, Deku's only gonna get stronger the more he gets One for All under control, and we've seen that happen. He's being able to use One for All power more, he's learning to use Black Whip better, and his enemies are going to keep getting stronger with him. I mean, spoilers for the villain arc for My Hero Academia. Each of the primary villains also gets a huge power up through the next villain arc in My Hero, which I'd say where he once outclassed them, each of them bring something new to the table. Toga goes from being able to transform into no one to transforming into no. Let me not. Spoilers. All the villains get crazy power-ups. Oh, and of course, there's one of the biggest offenders ever, the setting of the story, school. Now, look, I get it. When your target audience is young boys, it makes sense that your setting would be a place that your target audience is often at. It's just that a lot of times it feels like anime ad-libs with the whole school thing. Like I said before, there's school, but we're ninjas. There's school, but we're heroes. There's school, but every time we cook a quiche. There's school, but it's fashion, and also the clothes are alive, and they make you stronger, and we get naked a lot. Not to say this is bad, you need outlets when there's a form of story you're telling, but My Hero is another fish in the ocean of shonen anime. Even My Hero's world feels like it's aped from something else. I mean, look at One Punch Man. Would-be heroes take a hero exam to become pro heroes for the Hero Association. Then they get assigned a rank in the National Hero Registry. I mean, One Punch Man is partly a parody, but the fact that it's parodying something that is actually reflected almost perfectly somewhere else is wild. Sure, there's little differences in the premise here and there, but you gotta admit, this sounds identical. I mean, One Punch Man came out in 2012. Maybe Horikoshi read it and was like, maybe I should make this, but not as a joke. But that is a joke, I'm kidding. I highly doubt that happened. But my point here is that My Hero borrows a lot of normalized shonen tropes that ultimately come together to make the whole story. But even outside of shonen, it borrows a lot of other influences as well. Horikoshi has always been transparent about his love for American superhero comics. I mean, just look at All Might. He straight up looks like a Bronze Age comic book character that got dropped into an anime. But My Hero's Western influences are more than just skin deep. There's a lot of obvious comparisons you can make, but the biggest one is X-Men. That groovy 90s X-Men intro. That one went kind of crazy. Not as crazy as the Spider-Man intro. The animated series Spider-Man intro was nut. I was watching that with my roommates last night. It was so good. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry. There's a lot of obvious comparisons you can make, but the biggest one has to be X-Men. Quirks are mutations. Quite literally in this case. And UA High School is Xavier's school for gifted youngsters. Okay, maybe UA's Department of Management isn't as gifted, but you see where I'm getting at. In a way, the world of My Hero is the optimistic future of the world in Marvel. Quirks, mutations, powers, whatever you want to call them, they are the norm. But even there are some similarities. As the mutants in My Hero don't necessarily face persecution, there is a certain fight for rights for the people who have quirks. See, let's take it like this. First, in My Hero, and slight spoilers for the My Villains Academia arc, there's a group of villains per se called the Meta Liberation Army, who later team up with the League of Villains and become the Paranormal Liberation Front, but whatever. And their primary belief was the free usage of quirks is a basic human right that emphasizes liberation over regulation. Basically, there is a movement in this universe to get people with quirks to a higher status and a different status. And oh, this sounds cool and different, not necessarily a social movement you always see in anime, especially coming from the villains, but X-Men. In X-Men, there's Magneto's Brotherhood of Mutants, which stands for the rights of mutants in society, believing they should hold a higher status and a different status. Even in the base 616 universe, outside of that, there's a group called the Mutant Liberation Front, which is, according to the wiki, a team seemingly mainly organized of disillusioned anarchic mutant youths. This is a common theme that's been done before in media like this. Quirks have been codified, organized, and safely integrated in society without encroaching too much on personal freedoms. Sure, it's not perfect, ass stain, but it's a far cry from the crap that Marvel mutants have to put up with. While X-Men are oppressed by a system and actively work to change it, the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed wards of UA are eager to play into a system that already welcomes and rewards them, which the Meta Liberation Front are working against. Sure, My Hero goes to some dark places. Endeavor is all about eugenics. But on the whole, the core value of My Hero Academia's world is heroes are cool. And that's fine. Just don't expect anything other than a squeaky clean X-Men anime. I mean, come on, y'all. Have y'all seen Sky High? It's Sky High. A kid without superpowers goes to a hero school. Again, weirdly similar. I mean, I can't prove that Horikoshi wasn't thrown on the Disney Channel furiously taking notes on Sky High between That's So Raven and Lizzie McGuire reruns, but you can't prove me he wasn't. So that was a joke. Please don't get mad at me. Now, pretty much for this whole video, I've been talking about My Hero in a sense that it takes a lot of different types of stories and elements from a lot of the similar media it's associated with, instead of making anything unique. And it's true, it takes a lot of heavy inspiration from a lot of different things. So why is it still popular? Why do people still like it if it's a story we've heard again and again and again? And it's because it does all these things well. Extremely well, to the point it makes you resonate with the characters, resonate with the story, and want to see what happens next. Like, if I take a lot of the points I mentioned before, you can see how they execute them very well to the point where you want to be more engaged in the story. I mean, for one, the character archetypes. Sure, there's the pervy character and the rival, but each are built out in a way that kind of separates them from normal stories. Bakugo, although I hate him and find him very annoying, feels like he could be a lot different of a character than maybe Vegeta because of his own personal philosophies and the way he's changed throughout the story. But his dynamic with the usually soft Deku is really cool. Seeing Deku, who is usually passive, challenge him and earn the respect of him is very satisfying, especially compared to maybe Goku, who was always willing to challenge him. Seeing Deku go demon mode on the boy, that's good. Like, even though my boy lost, I love seeing the fight between Deku and Bakugo because Deku stood up for himself. And although I was very pissed that Deku couldn't take the dub, seeing these moments where Bakugo actually understood Deku and was challenged by his strength meant a lot. But don't get me wrong, all of its heavy-handed inspirations still culminates into a very solid show. Like, you can't argue that the character designs aren't incredible. Even if you don't know Tokiyami's name, the most casual My Hero viewer will know who you're talking about when you say that goth bird-headed guy. Like, come on. Like, you know he did something right if me and Christian can have a whole conversation about their fits and their personalities. Yo, shout out to Big Ed. Shout out to the boy Big Ed. And when those heroes are in action, it doesn't feel like a slog. You do not know how happy I was to skip the exhausting mid-fight dialogue. Take Deku and Todoroki's fight. Having the typical talk during the fight, as we know in shonen, is common, but here it worked because this was a turning point for Todoroki's character. It made sense that Deku was challenging his philosophy, and that was incorporated into the fight. Deku's still trying to understand his power, so him running through his head what he's going to do also makes sense. And of course, it just looked dope. Yo, they blasted each other with one last thing. That was crazy. It worked. My Hero's battles are exciting to watch and, more importantly, well-paced. Good thing Horikoshi wasn't inspired by the 20-episode-long fights between Goku and Frieza. Oh my god. Those fights are even more incredible when you throw people like the Incredible Tape Man into the mix. This is probably the JoJo fan in me, but I always love seeing characters fight with extremely wacky and different powers. Sure, My Hero has some classic superpowers in there. Looking at you, Todoroki. But how many heroes do you know with the power of frog? Or diabetes? You can never predict what Mineta's gonna do with those stupid balls on his head. God, balls. So sure, My Hero isn't exactly revolutionizing anime. It takes a lot of inspiration from a lot of different mediums. But the thing is that it doesn't have to. It knows where it's coming from and it mixes those into formulas that actually work for its audience. It's a lot like an anime buffet. The food's not the best, but there are at least a couple things that you can drop on your plate and enjoy. And that's what makes it work. But that's about it. So am I tripping on my points or do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments below. But that's it. I'm Curt, signing off, and I'll catch y'all next flight. Peace.
Oh, what's up, y'all? Yo, thank you very much for watching that video. Yo, please do not come in my neck, okay, for this. I know I probably made a lot of people mad or upset, especially if they did not watch the end part. I am not perfect with my wording on things, and I apologize. So this is me backpedaling on everything I said already. Dang, I'm so good and confident. Gotta give a lot of love to our patrons, especially our big boys, Matthew Hennis, Sugar Joe, Andrew M, Drew Warnes, Critical225, and of course, Eric Totora Patu. Really appreciate y'all. Y'all are amazing, and you keep us afloat. We really thank you guys. This time we have a question, the usual question, and this one from Alfredo Hernandez. If you had to pick any anime OP that you could magically start playing when you enter a room, what would it be and why? Okay, so this question's tough, mostly because it's like pick your favorite song, and I feel like that's a hard question for anyone. It's like it changes over time. So it could be just how I'm feeling, but how I'm feeling now, like at least based off of just remembering things, the one that resonates with me the most is Bleach OP7. Wait, just this part. All right, cut it. We're not getting. I don't want to get copyright claimed after getting yelled at. It'd suck to get yelled at by everyone and get no money for the video. I feel like that was just a banger. It's just a banger to me. But that's all I got. I really appreciate y'all. The whole team does a lot more new, fun, cool videos coming from us pretty soon. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.